Salakia, the video cut out. Satan, of course, hindering. But back to what I was saying, I was speaking on how all these nations are going to be dealing with cryptocurrency, okay, which is the mark of the beast, okay, the mark of the beast. The cryptocurrency is the base for that digital currency, okay, for that paperless currency, okay, what these elites call a cashless society. And when you're reading these articles, like the one I read earlier, they tell you that, oh yeah, it's better because with cash you have their thieves and all these other things. Man, they're still gonna steal from you. The so-called white man's in charge. He's still gonna steal from you. All right. And so back in Revelation, the 18th chapter, right, for all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich with the abundance of her delicacies. Okay, all these nations have gotten rich off America, conducting it the American way, joining their secret societies and worshiping their gods, living their ways, taking on their societal norms. Okay, because in Saudi Arabia, they don't let women drive, but now they do. Why? Because of pressure from America, mainly these this woman worshiping place, the woman worshiping spirit that America promotes. Okay, and well, I wanted to read out of this article. These are all good articles you brothers should read. This is from the Financial Times. This is from November 20th. Okay, Venezuelan debt. U.S., Russia, China play for high stakes. Okay, it's a good article. Nothing that hasn't been mentioned in other ones, just a little more detailed. Okay, but I'm gonna want to read this part. It says the Russian connection. Okay, Moscow's Latin America push balances U.S. influence. Many Western and even Chinese creditors have been scratching their heads over why Russia was building a massive exposure to Venezuelan debt. Moscow's generosity and patience with Caracas come amid a broader push into Latin America. Okay, and Latin America historically is America first, the United States of America, this corporation that we're currently enslaved under. That's their backyard. Okay, that's in the word of geopolitics. They say Latin America is their backyard. So these foreign nations coming into America's backyard, that's a threat. Okay, just no different than as America putting anti-missile defense systems all over old Eastern Bloc European nations, former Soviet Eastern Bloc nations. And Esau is doing it all day to the Russians. So Russia is doing it with China now, setting up what? World War III. The armed forces and security services have followed suit. Oh, Salat. Since Vladimir Putin's presidential term in 2000, Russia has pursued a return to countries in the region with the Soviet Union had close ties. First and foremost, this happened through arms deals. Okay, arms deals. What are arms deals for? For war. Russia has sold more than $15 billion in weapons, $15 billion in weapons to Latin American customers since 2000, with export accelerating over the past 5 years, with Venezuela one of the top customers. The armed forces and security service have followed suit. The Kremlin has rebuilt ties with Cuba and Nicaragua and is pursuing the restoration of listening posts aimed at the U.S. and both countries. At the same time, Russia has pursued closer ties with the continent's largest economies and political heavyweights. It is accurate to claim we are restoring the Soviet Union's footprint, all right, which the apostles always went into. People are like, oh, why does your sign say USSR? Because they're restoring the Soviet Union, okay? We have built a stable relationship with Brazil through our joint work in BRICS, also India, China, South Africa. And BRICS, they want to totally just get off America, right? And then you get all these nations' resources, you don't need America. We are rapidly expanding cooperation with Argentina, says former Russian ambassador. Okay? So this is all about, I'm going to keep reading actually. Indeed, state-owned Gazprom, that's the Russian state-owned gasoline, is looking to share projects in Argentina, and Rosneft is prospecting for oil in Brazil. Moscow also sees a low new potential of Mexico. The ambassador says there are open doors there against the background of the difficulties of Donald Trump. So now even Mexico is saying, you know what, we'd rather deal with the Russians than America. This guy, President Fewer Trump, he's getting it popping. He's getting everyone to turn against this whore. Such opportunism is typical of Russia's foreign policy. Russia often seeks to move in where Washington is in retreat and increase in its weight globally versus the United States. Why are they going against the United States? Because that's World War III. That's how it goes down. Okay? I'll read this real quick in Ezekiel 38. Okay? Son of man, set thy face, 38 and 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks in thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, and even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay? And that shield and helmet in the time of battle, that's a protector. Alright? And who's protecting these nations right now? Russia. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of all north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Okay? So, the Most High put hook in the jaws of Russia to go hard right now. And what are they going hard against? They're going hard against America. Okay? But not only that, Russia's involved, it's China. Russia, China, those are major nations. All coming up against who? So-called white man here in America. And it says, Russia and China playing major role in keeping Venezuela afloat. And this is back in September. So we read earlier in October, after this, they started coming out with that cryptocurrency. So these guys started to know what was the move. What's this next move? Okay? All these nations want to get off the damn dollar, the petrodollar. They want to not be controlled by America anymore. And that's what's going to lead to what? World War III. That's how World War III is going to happen. Okay, the countries have provided capital goods, services, and political backing. So that's the reason why Maduro is still president. Because you got Russia and China behind him. No different than why, what's his name? In Syria, Assad. No different than Assad being in power still. Because Russia and China are behind him. Mainly Russia. But also China. Because they have heavy investments in these nations. As well as contracts with them selling them arms. To do what? To fight against the so-called white man. Okay, that's just how it goes down. And it's no different than how Esau goes against them. Okay, let's see. It has information that you already know. But this person, Ellis, who I'm going to quote, Evan Ellis, a senior associate at the Center of Strategic and International Studies and a professor at the U.S. Army War College, appeared before the Western Hemisphere Subcommittee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, for a hearing on the malicious influence of state and criminal actors in the Latin American nation's ongoing breakdown. Because they blame Venezuela for being a rogue state, also for playing a major part in the drug trade. But it's no different than Mexico, no different than what America's doing. It's doing everything that America does, but because it's not under the complete control of Esau, they want to take him down. Alright, I would like to emphasize how both Russia and China, in the pursuit of their commercial and strategic interest in Venezuela, have provided all these things for them, okay? Saying it's destroying the democratic accountability. Ellis is a talking head, but supposedly this person knows something. And they go on here saying, amid the crisis, both Russia and China have established serious leverage over Venezuela. China, which Ellis ranks as the more involved of the pair, is now Venezuela's principal banker, okay? And has been since August 2014. So if China's the principal banker, the Chinese are totally with the petro. They made a move, make the move. Hey, we're going to go, what we're going to do is have our own central banks. And we're going to base it upon cryptocurrencies with oil being the backing, which is no different than the Federal Reserve note. All right? So no difference, except that the Federal Reserve note is traded, well, globally as of now, But soon Venezuela petrol is gonna be traded globally, just like as Bitcoin, Litecoin, all these other cryptocurrencies. Additionally, all right, so Venezuela also stores a portion of its gold reserves in China. Okay, so that's a deal they shot up with the Moabites. Additionally, China represents a major source of credit for Venezuela. Ellis said to the tune of $62.2 billion since '05. Those loans are mostly repaid in shipments of oil. So the Chinese got something good going over there. So that guy Maduro, he ain't gonna mess that up. And the Chinese, you best believe they're gonna launch attacks on America from Venezuela, as are the Russians. And we read earlier they're trying to get back with Cuba. And what did Trump do? He put an embargo on Cuba. America was going to be cool with Cuba, but now they kept that embargo up. So all these nations are going to come up against America, all right? And there's another article, I believe this. And everyone's saying, oh yeah, Venezuela's going to collapse, this and that. Well, they changed their tune, okay? Right before the petrol came out, they started changing their tune. This is November 15th. Venezuela wins Russia and China backing as it says it's honoring debt, okay? And they always call it an oil-rich country, all right? And who needs oil? The Chinese. And the Russians, they got plenty of it too. All right? And this came out just recently of what the Russians are about to be doing, okay? This is Russia may turn to oil-backed cryptocurrency to challenge sanctions and the petrodollar. This is on Zero Hedge on the 11th. Okay. The gradual acceptance of digital currencies with major exchanges about to launch Bitcoin future tradings may promote some oil-producing nations to ditch the U.S. dollar and crude trade in favor of cryptocurrencies, an oil analyst says. All right. Russia, Iran, and Venezuela have more than one thing in common. What's the main thing they have in common? They want to get rid of America, right? They're sick and tired of being controlled by America, and they have nothing but oil, okay? And all three are major oil-producing nations dependent on the dollar, since the global crude market is traditionally dominated by contracts denominated in the United States currency. Moscow, Tehran, and Caracas are also facing U.S. sanctions penalties, which are proving effective since the sanctioned countries are dependent on the U.S. dollar to sell their crude. So the way the United States is dealing with these nations right now is making them forcing their hand to go to war. Okay? A decentralized currency allowing anonymous transactions along with blockchain technology support to facilitate oil contracts may be the ideal tool to allow the oil-producing trio to turn their back on the greenback. The advent of cryptocurrencies therefore represent a fresh catalyst for commodity-producing countries wishing to abandon the dollar as a means of payment for oil, said Stephen Brennock, oil analyst. So if you want to be an industrialized nation, you want to be a first world country, you have to use oil. You want to have these cars, you want to have trains, you want to have public transportation, energy, electricity. You need oil, you need natural gas. Where are you going to get that from? Well, first of all, you need to pay. If you're going to get it, you have to pay in American dollars. So you got to go and get American dollars somewhere if you're from another nation. And then you got to get the dollar. And what's the dollar going to be weighed against? Your currency. And your currency is worth much less than the dollar is. So you're over there getting broke to pay for the oil. It's impossible to get out of that hole. And that's what these nations are going to gear up and get with, all right, these nations like Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, these smaller nations are getting with Russia to fight against America, all right? And what's happening? Okay, what's happening is that America is about to be destroyed in thermonuclear missiles. Because the cryptocurrency war, like I was saying earlier, is going to lead to the cashless society. These other nations are adopting it, forcing the American dollar to collapse. And the American dollar, upon that collapse, they're going to blame cash, they're going to blame drugs. So they're going to make you get the RFID microchip, which is the blockchain. Okay? This is Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind, and I will send unto the Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. And that's what's happening. They're getting round about her to destroy her, to fan that flame. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his Brigidine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Alright? Let me jump down. Oh, keep going. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. And what's that recompense coming in? In thermonuclear missiles, as stated above. With them archers, the fan, the fire. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine before. Therefore, the nations are mad. And that's what's happening. All these nations are coming up against America. Why? Because they're mad. And what are they mad about? They're mad at being dealt unjustly, being slaves. And you just being your violence of a continual stroke. You so-called white people. Right? And you're going to end up destroying each other. Just like you always do. But this time, you ain't coming back. You ain't going to have a Marshall Plan. You're going to rebuild each other's nations, put each other in debt. All right? You're going to be in debt towards the nation of Israel. All right? Yasharallah. Okay? You're going to be possessions. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. Which ain't going to happen, all right? Babylon ain't going to get healed. It's going to making America great again. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to bring one more scripture out on Moab. Okay? Amos 2:1. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime, but I will send a fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Kiriath, and Moab shall die with the tumult, with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet. And I will cut off the judge from the midst thereof, and will slay all the princes thereof with him, saith the Lord. And that's what's going to happen. The Most High is going to judge you damn Moabites as well. Right? For all your transgressions. And not because you burned the king. Oh yeah, you're getting judged for this. No, you're getting judged for being a heathen. Alright? And if I'm not mistaken, this could be meaning how you destroyed America. You had your hand in destroying America. Yeah, which is a good thing. But you're still going to be judged, right? You Russians, all you other nations, you Edomites that are in Russia, you Edomites that are, you crypto Jews all throughout the 4 corners of the earth controlling these nations, right? You're not going to stop this place from being destroyed. And you're not going to stop the judgment that's going to come upon you in slavery. Just because you helped destroy America. Nah, it doesn't work like that, alright? Okay. And let me read this last one. This is Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Alright? And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing to these nations. They're sick of it. Here, take this debt. And now they can't get out of it. And now you're blaming Venezuela. Oh yeah, they can't handle it. These nations are gonna come up and destroy this place real soon. So yeah, bros, that's this what's happening right now through the spirit Yabashi Shai. These nations are getting together, mainly China and Russia. Okay, authoritarian. America's authoritarian. Okay. They're getting together to do what? To completely control their financial systems, right? Meaning what? Go against America. And that's World War III. With that, I'm going to say, death to America, shalom.